In an action that exposes the sophistication and strategy of criminal groups in Brazil, the Federal Police, PF, made an important seizure of two high-value horses, which belonged to the criminal faction First Command of the Capital, PCC, one of the largest and most powerful criminal organizations in the country. The operation took place in the municipality of Indaiatuba, located in the interior of the state of São Paulo, a city traditionally recognized for breeding quarter horses, famous for their speed and agility in short-distance races. These horses were valued at 3 million Brazilian reals, about $600,000, and the seizure is part of a set of investigations carried out by the PF, targeting international drug trafficking, the PCC's involvement with the Italian Mafia, and the movement of large amounts of money illegally. The operation is an offshoot of Operation Mafiusi, launched in 2024, aimed at dismantling a global drug trafficking network connected to international criminal organizations. What are quarter horses and their importance? Quarter horses are one of the most renowned breeds in the racing and equestrian competition scene. Their origin dates back to the 17th century, in the United States, where they were created from the crossbreeding of English and Spanish horses, with the aim of developing a fast and agile working animal. Today, these horses are considered the fastest in the world over short distances, with the ability to reach up to 70 kilometers per hour. In Brazil, the breed was introduced in the 1950s and, since then, it has become very popular, especially among breeders of show jumping, rodeos, and other equestrian sports. The high value of these animals, as evidenced by the seized horses in this case, demonstrates how this market can be exploited by criminal organizations to launder money obtained from illicit sources. With high demand and elevated prices, horses become an attractive asset for money laundering, as the transaction value can be masked by their legitimate nature. The First Command of the Capital, PCC, and the expansion of organized crime. The First Command of the Capital, PCC, is one of the most powerful criminal factions in Brazil, founded in the 1990s within São Paulo's prisons. Over the decades, the PCC grew from a small organization focused on controlling drug trafficking in prisons to a multinational crime syndicate, with branches inside and outside Brazil. Today, the PCC is one of the most influential factions in Latin America, with activities ranging from cocaine trafficking, kidnappings, extortion, and money laundering. The faction is organized hierarchically, with leaders at the top, operating both inside prisons and outside, through criminal cells that infiltrate various sectors of society, from financial markets to luxury goods trade. The fact that the PCC invested in high-value horses as part of its money laundering strategy reveals the growing sophistication of the faction, which now uses assets such as purebred animals, luxury real estate, and even company acquisitions to hide the illicit origin of its resources. The connection with the Italian Mafia. The most surprising aspect of this operation is not just the seizure of the horses, but the discovery of the connection with the Italian Mafia. The Italian Mafia, represented by groups such as Cosa Nostra, 'Ndrangheta, and Camorra, has been one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world for over a century. These factions are responsible for a variety of illegal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, financial fraud, arms trafficking, and money laundering. What makes this connection even more dangerous is the expansion of organized crime beyond national borders. With the PCC seeking to expand its international business, the faction allied with the Italian Mafia, which has experience in moving large sums of money through offshore bank accounts, shell companies, and hidden transactions. The collaboration between these two organizations allows them to expand their reach and create a global drug trafficking network, stretching from Brazil to Europe, passing through other continents. The trafficking of cocaine and heroin is one of the main sources of funding for these organizations, and the transatlantic trafficking operation is extremely profitable. Using purebred horses, like those seized in Indaiatuba, as assets to disguise the origin of money obtained through trafficking is a sophisticated money laundering technique, which complicates even further the authorities' work to combat these illicit activities. Money laundering. How the PCC uses horses to hide illicit profits. Money laundering is the process of concealing the origin of resources from illegal activities, transforming them into seemingly legitimate assets. Instead of keeping the profits from drug trafficking in obvious forms like large amounts of cash, Criminal organizations like the PCC seek ways to clean this money through legal investments that seem normal and socially accepted. Investing in high-value horses is an effective form of money laundering. The horse market in Brazil is highly valued, and transactions can be conducted relatively discreetly, without raising much suspicion. The 3 million Brazilian reals paid for the horses seized in Indaiatuba could have been justified as a legitimate purchase, but in reality, the money likely came from criminal activities. Furthermore, criminals can also use other practices, such as creating shell companies to buy and sell high-value horses, or even paying false intermediaries who help launder the money without the transaction's origin being traced by authorities. Economic and social impact of seizures and investigations. While the main focus of the federal police's operation is to dismantle trafficking networks and divert resources from the PCC, the social and economic impact of this action is significant for several layers of Brazilian and international society. In Brazil, the fight against drug trafficking has been a priority for authorities, especially because trafficking fuels a cycle of urban violence, corruption, and social inequality. Moreover, money laundering by criminal organizations has devastating effects on the economy, as it allows illicit resources to be reinvested in legitimate projects or even in international financial markets, affecting trust in the banking system and the legal market. This also creates unfair competition for legitimate businesses and increases the difficulty of combating the financing of criminal organizations. For the countries involved, such as Brazil and Italy, the PCC's involvement with the Italian Mafia shows that transnational crime knows no borders, and in order to effectively combat these organizations, a global collaborative effort is necessary. The importance of combating organized crime. The seizure of the horses at the Indaiatuba stud farm is more than a simple confiscation of luxury assets. It symbolizes a larger battle against international drug trafficking, money laundering, and the expansion of organized crime. The operation not only dismantles a trafficking scheme but also highlights the need for international cooperation to confront criminal factions operating on a global scale. Brazilian authorities, with the support of international investigations, are demonstrating that it is possible to effectively combat organized crime by challenging their money laundering strategies and dismantling complex criminal networks that operate on multiple fronts. The fight against the PCC, the Italian Mafia, and other criminal groups requires a continuous effort, as they are increasingly sophisticated and interconnected.